director-elect and the IEEE Standards Association president-elect. And we're very excited to have him here today. He's a visionary researcher, inventor, practitioner, and entrepreneur in the areas of consumer technology, multimedia, VR, AR, connected automated vehicles, a bunch of other stuff. He co-founded Versemaker, and he's very active in many societies and through all different emerging tech. So I'll let him talk a little bit more about himself and then continue with his presentation. Or he's our keynote for the Metaverse. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my screen. It's my great honor to be here and give a presentation regarding my view about the Metaverse. I call that Digitalization 5.0, and I talk about the trends, challenges, and the roadmaps, and also standardization. So in addition to my role as the president-elect of IEEE and the director-elect of IEEE BOD, I have also been working on VR and AR and blockchain and photonics, things like that. I'm also the founding chair of the Metaverse Standards Committee. I will talk about that later. So, but before I start sharing my opinions, I'm pretty sure that not everyone will be happy with my opinions. I tell you that the opinions expressed here are my opinions, not necessarily opinions of IEEE or IEEE. So let's start from my background. So my background is computer science. So I started working on in the area of multimedia since 1995, and I started working in the area of virtual reality since 1999. So Professor Zhong was my PhD advisor. He passed away on October 31st. So this is where I came from. So I would say that Metaverse is the ultimate form of multimedia. That's my view. So let's talk about the brief history of Metaverse. I believe most of you have already been familiar with that, but something new I'd like to add that Neil Stephenson was the first person who coined the term Metaverse in his fiction novel Snow Crash. But earlier than that, Stillman, who is a father of wearable computing, he invented and coined the term metavision as the extended reality, wherein using wearable computing back in 1974. So let's talk about the definition of metaverse. Many people believe that we probably don't have to define metaverse. We can just do it. But I still think from the standardization perspective, we will need a definition, more or less to some extent. So if we look at the origin of the term metaverse, in Neil's book, it was all VR. He confirmed that by in his Twitter posted on June the 8th, 30 years after he published his book. But I also recognized that during the past 3 decades, there were lots of advancements. So we should not just keeping ourselves with the origin. We need to think about the cutting edge advancement. So I developed a definition for metaverse, and so far it has been widely adopted by many people. So my definition is that basically metaverse refers to a kind of experience. And in that experience, the outside world is perceived by the users as being a universe that is built upon digital technologies. And there are 3 types of metaverse. Either it is a different universe, which is what we call virtual reality, or it is a digital extension of our current universe, which is what we call augmented reality or mixed reality, or it is a digital counterpart of our current universe, which is digital twin. Back in 2018, Steve Yuan, the father of wearable computing, and Tom Furness, the grandfather of virtual reality, and we co-authored a paper about all reality. We talk about lots of different realities, such as virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, mediated reality, multimedia reality, and many others. But to make things simple, I'm in favor of what George Berkeley said hundreds of years ago. To be is to be perceived. So from that perspective, all kinds of digital universes or computational universes are indeed our perceptions. So that's why I came up with definition. Metaverse refers to a kind of experience, and there are three different types of experiences, then three different types of metaverses: virtual reality, augmented reality, and digital twin. Let's also talk about the characteristics or features of metaverse. So many people are confusing different features or characteristics with each other. But from a standards engineer perspective, we always need to divide the features or characteristics into three different categories. Mandatory category, we use shall be to describe that, and recommended features or recommended characteristics we use should, and the optional ones we use may. So talking about metaverse, what are the mandatory features? I have asked myself this question. So after metaverse became a buzzword, what's the major difference between metaverse and a typical VR experience? So my answer is persistence. Only when a virtual world is persistent, the content, the virtual objects created by users will be long-lasting in that virtual world and will have meaningful value and usage after that. So from that perspective, in my humble opinion, persistent is one and only mandatory feature of metaverse. But we always have other features, recommended features, such as massive, comprehensive, immersive, self-consistent, ultra-realistic, and so on. I'd also like to address that when we are talking about the features or characteristics of metaverse, we should also distinguish internal features from external features. Internal features, which means that we are talking about the features or characteristics you will feel, you will observe when you are virtually in the metaverse, in other words, universe of bits. And external features or external characteristics means that those are features or characteristics of the infrastructure or devices you use to build a metaverse or use to access a metaverse. In other words, universe of atoms. So from that perspective, I listed accessible and pervasive as two features for external features of metaverse. I'd also like to address decentralized. So I think decentralized is an optional feature because metaverses can be centralized, of course, and to some extent, centralized metaverses may be working better than decentralized ones. So we will address that later. And also, I put decentralized on the border between internal and external because it could be referring to some services or I would say society features that you can experience within a metaverse, or it could be referring to the infrastructure of a metaverse that should be decentralized. With that being said, I would say in a broad sense, metaverse is the advanced stage and the long-term vision of digital transformation. Currently, we are seeing lots of vertical industries. There are digital transformation happening in each of them. But we can imagine that along with this direction, when the mature level of the digital transformation becomes higher and higher, there will be a convergence stage. That will be actually the metaverse. And I'd also like to share with you my view of the history of digital transformation. So from the invention of computers, I divided the history of digitalization into 5 different stages. The first stage is automation. So some of you may still remember that we were talking about office automation, industrial automation, and there used to be departmental of automation in some universities. But nowadays, I think less and less universities still have department of automation. Those were the first stage of digitalization after the human beings invented computers. And then the digitalization 2.0, the second phase was interconnection, which was basically about the rise of the internet. And then the third phase, digitalization 3.0, I call that personalization, which is in conjunction with Web 2.0. So you frequently heard from people that the history was like Web 1 was read only, and Web 2 was read and write, and Web 3 was is going to be read, write, and own. That is a fake history. I'll talk about that later. But Web 2.0, as one of the persons who experienced Web 2.0, Web 2.0 was not about adding any writing features on top of the internet. The internet was never read-only from the very beginning. Internet was read and write from the very beginning, from the day one. So Web 2.0 was really about user-generated content, massive user-generated content, and personalized recommendations. Why? Because before Web 2.0, there was unique ways on websites to list those content. But from that perspective, massive UGCs, most of them would not have a chance to be viewed or consumed. So you have to combine massive UGC with personalized recommendations so that different content can be consumed by different users. That's the point of the revolution of digitalization 3.0 or Web 2.0, which is personalization. And the digitalization 4.0 in conjunction with Industry 4.0 and something like that is about intelligence, intelligentization. So which about the rise of AI in recent years. AI is getting more and more important in multiple industries, in multiple applications, enterprise applications, and consumer applications. So lastly, we are facing the next phase, digitalization 5.0. I call that realitization, or in other words, that is Metaverse. So for the first time, with all the accumulated technologies, we, the human beings, will have a chance to act as gods. We can create another reality. We can create another universe. We can create another universes. So that's why this is the last phase of the digitalization on the horizon, realitization, or in other words, Metaverse. In IEEE, we had another term to call that. We call that digital reality. IEEE used to have a digital census initiative. I chaired that initiative from 2015 to 2018, and in 2018 we renamed that as digital reality. So you may see this word coming back again next year. So with that being said, I'd also like to briefly talk about another debate regarding Metaverse and the Internet of Metaverses. So do we need one and only Metaverse, or we can have many of them? Some people may argue that we will have one and only Metaverse. All the different virtual worlds have to be interconnected with each other. But I think that is another kind of totalism. So of course, metaverses could be there could be standalone ones. There could be some of them similar to what we had today as a local area network. They could be interconnected with each other, but they do not have to be connected with many others. So from that perspective, from that, I would say there could be many metaverses and we encourage metaverses to be interconnected with each other. But as long as we can find use cases for doing that, we may or may not be able to find enough justifications why we need to connect two metaverses with each other. So even though for the sum of all the connected metaverses, I would like to call that the Internet of Metaverses, or the IOM. So that's my view. So this is not a game of language. Because some people supporting the one and only metaverse, they would like to call different virtual worlds verses. But there are lots of reasons for me to not in favor of calling those virtual worlds verses. So one of the reasons is that I could not find a Chinese translation for that. So let's talk about NFT. So NFT has been frequently labeled as metaverse, but my view is that currently most of NFTs have no use value, but only the so-called collection value or investment value. But metaverse is such a big picture, big vision, and collecting and investing are currently only a small part of our real life. So I can't imagine that the mainstream demand of humankind for the metaverse will be only collection and investment. And also many people are talking about NFT could support virtual assets transfer from one virtual world to another. I'd like to show you this is not a rigid demand, and this could be harmful. So people who support the virtual asset transfer from one virtual world to another, or from one metaverse to another, most likely they are not game players, but I am a game player on a regular basis. So these are two games that I play every day, Call of Duty and PUBG. So in PUBG, there's a famous sniper gun, Kar 98K. That gun is not equipped with a scope, so you need to run for airdrop to get a scope. Then you can use that to as a sniper gun. But in Call of Duty, every sniper gun is equipped with a scope from the very beginning. So if you allow a user to bring a Call of Duty sniper gun into PUBG, the PUBG experience will be ruined. Some people may argue that, okay, forget about weapons. How about skins? How about appearance? I would say the appearance or skins also have a similar problem. So in PUBG, there's such a suit, you need to get that from airdrop, but once you wear that, your enemy would feel very difficult to find you. But in Call of Duty, some characters wearing that suit from the very beginning. So you can say that skins can also be abused to ruin the experience of a game or a virtual world. With that being said, my conclusion is that NFT application scenarios in the metaverse may be very limited. Or in other words, if we want to talk about the necessity of connect two metaverses to each other, we really need to find some tangible use cases for that. I'd also like to address Web3. So the ridiculous thing about Web3 is that Web3 advocates like to talk about ownership. But in my humble opinion, what really matters to users is use and service, not ownership. So not many years ago, when the entire technology industry was talking about sharing economy, companies like Airbnb and Uber, their statement was like, ownership does not matter. You can save money and enjoy services. You don't need to own your own house or own your own car as long as you can enjoy the services. But nowadays, Web3 advocates are telling you ownership does matter. You should pay for that by purchase tokens. So to me, I think that is not a good justification. And I'd also like to talk about the Web3's future. It may not be a bright future at all. Web3 is not Web 3.0. These two terms are frequently confused with each other. The term Web3 was coined by Ethereum co-founder Gavin Wood, referring to a decentralized online ecosystem based on blockchain. But just a couple of days ago, the web inventor Tim Berners-Lee, he stated that he wanted us to ignore Web3. He said Web3 is not the web at all. And another point is about web is not internet. So every student with computer science or EE background knows that web is not internet. If you are really want to address in something like the next generation of the internet, you should say internet something or internet like a 3.0 or something instead of web 3 or web 3.0. And like I said before, the history about looks like it's exciting, right? Web 1 is read only, Web 2 is read and write, and Web 3 is read, write, and own. This looks like very revolutionary, but it is a fake history invented by Web 3 advocates. Don't get too excited about it. The internet was never read only. In the very early stages, from the day one, there are read and write. There were read and write functions. Have you heard of BBS of MAD? Those were very early stage internet applications. And the web is no longer the mainstream way to access the internet. We used to use browsers to access the internet. Then we were heavily relying on apps. Then what? I don't think we are going back to internet, going back to web again. So what I'm suggesting is that, and you can say there are different terms have been coined: Web 5, Web 6, and Web 7. So what's next? So my recommendation is I like decentralization. Don't get me wrong. I do love decentralization, but I don't like the term Web 3. So can we find a better term to replace Web 3? To be more precise and from the academic perspective, more correct. So some candidate terms in my mind include decentralized ownership and governance. We can call that DOG, or Internet of Rights, IOR. We may find more, but anyway. So I think Web3 is the least I would be in favor of. And let's also talk about the road to the metaverse. We have several grand challenges. So metaverse is not such simple. The first challenge is from the virtual senses and actions perspective. Today we see lots of XR devices, gadgets, but think about how to achieve comprehensive and ultra-realistic virtual senses and actions. For example, think of drinking beer. Even you can simulate the look and the smell and the taste of beer, we are still far from simulate the dopamine and the pleasure produced after your body drinking alcohol. So that is because we need to move our working interface from outside of human senses to the interface between your consciousness and your senses. In other words, brain machine interface would be the ultimate solution. Another challenge is about the virtual world. So how to build a persistent, large-scale, fine-grained, and physically self-consistent virtual world. So water is a good example. Virtual water cannot simply look like water. There should be you should be able to jump into that for swimming, or use a handful of water to watch your avatar's face, or do some boating on the lake. With that being said, we need to simulate water down to the particle level, down to so that the water could be completely in line with physical laws such as fluid mechanics. And even physicists cannot find any flaws to tell that this is a virtual world or not. Fortunately, we have several efforts ongoing along this direction. Second Life, Minecraft, and Improbable. Those are all examples that their virtual worlds are built with basic building blocks. We can imagine that the building blocks will get smaller and smaller, and eventually we will be able to simulate down to the particle level. So the second challenge is about the integration between virtual objects and the real world. The first question is that do you think virtual umbrella can protect you from real rain? Of course, the answer is apparently no. So which means that to address that question, provide a seamless experience of augmented reality, we need to not only address the technical perspective, but also address that from the content design perspective. I'd also like to address the last optional challenge, decentralization. Like I said before, I love decentralization. I hope some of our metaverses could be decentralized, but Ethereum is not a therapy. Nowadays, Ethereum nodes are being run through centralized web providers, which could become a central point of failure. You may argue that Bitcoin probably would be better, like Web5. So Bitcoin could be more decentralized. But let's look at Bitcoin. How many concurrent nodes they have? Typically, it's like 14,000 or so. But by contrast, as of 2013, BitTorrent that we used to download everything, they had 15 to 27 million concurrent nodes at any time. So which means even Bitcoin is far from decentralized enough. With that being said, I would say Metaverse is a harvesting while plowing journey. So we still have lots of grand challenges, but technology does not have to be ideal before it can be useful and usable. So with that being said, my point is that Metaverse is starting generating value in different industries. I'd also like to briefly mention standardization. So from my perspective, IEEE is taking a leading role in emerging technologies, especially standardization for emerging technologies such as Metaverse. So in emerging technologies, Metaverse can play a leading, standards can play a leading role, paving the road to the industry. For example, autonomous driving is a good example. Everybody is talking about your company is developing a web level 3 autonomous driving. My company is developing a level 4. Those are specified by SAE J3016 standard. So that's a good example. I believe in Metaverse, we need some similar standards, terminology and taxonomy to set a roadmap for the industry. So IEEE SA, we have started the Metaverse Congress. The URL is simple, metaverse.ieee.org, which is a series of online sessions in order to provide a global and a comprehensive view of the Metaverse. And we started the IEEE Metaverse Standards Committee, which is the first standards committee on Metaverse in major global and international SDOs. And we also have some standards and projects explicitly mentioned the Metaverse, such as 2048 terminology and taxonomy, 1716 ethically aligned design for Metaverse. And we have 2 industry connections activities. One is persistent computing for Metaverse, and another one is decentralized Metaverse. So that would conclude my presentation, and I leave my contact information on my last slide. So you are more than welcome to contact me, and we can start from there. Thank you.